What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back into another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers. He's Brayden Dowers. We finally got a football game to break down. We're going to give you all of our takeaways from Mizzou versus Central Arkansas Week 1 right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri Tigers fans, we finally have a football game to talk about as your Missouri Tigers took down the Central Arkansas Bears by a final score of 61-6 to kick off the season. I apologize in advance because we're, I guess, a little bit late with the kind of takeaways video. Mr. Dowers over here was sick as a dog, so that kind of delayed it by a day or two. But I know he did get to catch the game. Was supposed to go to the game. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make it out there. But Brayden, I think the fans are waiting to hear from you. You know, your thoughts on this complete rout of the Central Arkansas Bears. Kind of your initial takeaways. Lots to talk about. I mean, there's injuries to talk about. There's some things to like, some things not to like. As this team looks forward to Kansas next week. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
So just to preface this, one, my voice might sound like shit. Two, I wasn't able to actually watch most of the game because when you have 102 fever during a football game, you don't really want to keep your eyes open for too long. But I did have the broadcast on and I was listening to it and was doing everything in my power to still try and stay up to date on what was happening with Bo Pribula just absolutely manhandling Central Arkansas. So I wasn't able to go to the game, obviously. So just kind of listened to it. Should be able to go to Kansas next week, thankfully, as long as I don't get randomly sick again. But my takeaways were just from the little bit that I was able to watch. I was able to watch the drive that the offensive line didn't look good at all. So I'm a little worried about that. Bo Pribula looked amazing. He can actually hit a deep ball, unlike other Missouri quarterbacks who we will not name. Marquise Johnson looked great. Matt Zollers from the limited time. I didn't watch any of his throws, but just looking at the box score, 3 for 3 for 50.
Through his first career touchdown. Yeah. You know what's kind of wild, and I think I'll talk about Sam Horn after this, but Matt Zollers in his career, I believe, already has more passing attempts than Sam Horn.
Isn't
that kind of wild?
No, Horn has Zollers only threw 3 passes. Horn's thrown more than 3 passes.
Or maybe it was he's had.
It might be more yards.
Yeah, more yards because the 3 for 3 for 58 yards. Because yes. I know Sam Horn is not far ahead of him in pass attempts, though. I think it's like 8 throws or something like that.
Yeah, it's not many.
But no, yards for sure. But I was going to say, I think we had to address that first and foremost, because the quarterback battle was the big storyline heading into this game. Sam Horn versus Bo Pribula. I think the fact that Bo Pribula started the game already told you he was the starter. Yeah. But, of course, Drink brings him in that one snap in the first half after making it seem like they were going to do one half, second half. Randomly brings Sam Horn in and runs an option play. Sam Horn keeps it and runs, and now he has an injury that looks like it's going to knock him out for most of, if not all of this season. So your quarterback battle is essentially decided by default. But Sam Horn, I feel bad for him because I wanted to see what he could do in this game. I really did. And you just feel bad for him as someone who's kind of stuck it out this entire time, but it's not too significant because I think Bo Pribula was your starter anyway. And I do think Matt Zollers, in the short time that we saw him, I like what he brings to the table, and he's a better backup quarterback than Drew Pine last year, I think.
Yeah. It's been 3 throws against Central Arkansas, so I think we need to pull the brakes a little bit there. But
I just mean as a backup, I mean,
we'll see.
Obviously, if Bo gets hurt, you're screwed. But I mean,
yeah,
I think he's going to be better than Drew Pine, per se.
Yeah, long term for sure. But no, Sam Horn going down was extremely unfortunate. Everybody's rooting for him, but nobody expected him to get the job, or at least nobody that actually has critical thinking skills would think that he would get the job. But that there was definitely a weird play to bring him in on and have him run. But it's unfortunate, even though I think that Bo's going to get the job. Even before Horn came in the game, it was kind of obvious. Like first throw, Bo hits a 49-yard touchdown pass to Marquise Johnson, and
his first pass attempt of his Missouri career, and it's a deep bomb.
is a deep ball that he can actually hit, and it just feels like it washes away everything that happened last year and our inability to hit a deep ball.
Yeah, I remember week 1 versus Murray State last year. It was like
there was a very similar play to Marquise Johnson.
Yeah, but Cook missed it, and I think he missed it multiple times. And it's like, you'd like to see him hit that. Hopefully, he can hit him next week. And then next week came, and he wasn't able to hit him. And then the next week came, and he wasn't able to hit him. And the next week came, and he wasn't able to hit him. But I mean, Bo Pribula off the bat, and I mean, how can you not be happy with his performance? Obviously, this wasn't high-end competition, but to be 23 of 28 for 283 yards and 2 touchdowns in your debut and add another 50-plus yards on the ground and a pair of rushing touchdowns, I mean, I don't know what more you could ask out of his debut. And I said it to you, Brayden. I tweeted about it on Twitter, but I just, you watch him play, and a lot of the throws that he was making out there were throws that I felt like Brady Cook, sailed 5 yards out of bounds last year, or just honestly, Bo didn't have one poor throw all night. Well, I mean, maybe the second one to Marquise Johnson, he just missed him, but you're not going to hit every single deep ball. So I'm not going to knock him too much for that. But even some of the ones where he was under pressure, he was able to deliver an accurate pass, whether it was to Brett Norfleet or Kevin Coleman. And some of them went for no gain, but to even complete an accurate pass in that situation feels like night and day from Brady Cook last year, when once he started to feel pressure and started to roll out, the accuracy took a huge nosedive. Bo Pribula, that wasn't really the case for him in this week 1 performance.
Yeah, I mean, from every throw that I actually watched, he looked really good, and he was also obviously able to run the football very effectively as well. I know that I said that Matt Zollers wouldn't play in the pregame, but obviously that was
change of that was a material change.
Yeah,
so
that was a change of circumstances, but I just remember that, and I thought that would be funny to bring up. No, I don't really have too much to say about the game, obviously, because I wasn't able to see much. Josiah Trotter was insane. He blew up a few plays, was pretty effective from what I saw. And then Damon Wilson had 2 sacks. I would have liked to seen a few other guys get in there and get a few sacks as well. But Damon getting 2, that was really nice to see. The secondary, there was a few plays that I was watching where I was a little bit concerned, where I'm like, I feel like that play gets made by an SEC level quarterback or something receiver. Like that. Yeah, SEC receiver. So that's a little concerning, is that I'm a little concerned about the secondary still, even though we didn't let up any points until the end of the game. But like I said, there was a few plays, even in the run game, where I'm like, I don't like how many yards Central Arkansas is getting against us right now. Not like it was a big deal or anything for this game in particular, but for the future, I'm worried whenever we're playing South Carolina, or we're playing Auburn on the road, or we're playing Oklahoma on the road, just whoever we're playing. I'm worried about that. But again, it's not much to go off of. It's a cupcake game that you won 61-6. There's not too much that you can take away, and next week is going to be a lot more meaningful than this game.
Well, let's talk about the 61-6 for just a second, because understandably no one's impressed by this win or anything, but I've been kind of harping on the fact that, this was a complete domination of what is considered a blood donor school. You should roll them in week 1. So you're not getting any bonus points for doing your job, but I feel like these types of games in previous seasons, you were 35-3 or
10.
41-14 or something like that. Not a game that was in doubt, but not the complete routing that it should have been. Mm-hmm. And this year it was. And I think that does speak to, the talent level that Drinkwitz has really spoken of this team. There's just talent all over the field. And yeah, there's some things we can pick out, and we're going to talk about a few of those. Like you mentioned, the secondary, they need to tighten up the coverage just a little bit. But then, the offensive line, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on next, because I know you talked about the one drive where they looked really bad. And there was one where, Caden Green just completely missed his assignment and let a free rusher in Bo Pribula's face. And I will say, I think the O-line struggles got a little overblown, because I saw everyone like freaking out after that drive. Like, yeah, this O-line's a disaster. This ain't going to cut it. And if they play like that, yeah, it's not going to cut it. But outside of that one drive, there really wasn't another issue all night after that. And it was just Caden Green missed a few assignments. And the thing with his struggles is it's not like a Central Arkansas player was putting Caden Green on his back or something like that. It's Caden Green missed his assignment. And you know what? In my opinion, that's on Drinkwitz, because that's what happens when you move a guy who is slated to start at left guard to left tackle 2 weeks before the season. He's kind of still learning to play the position. He hasn't played left tackle since his freshman season at Oklahoma, and even then it was very limited snaps for him at left tackle. So you know what? It's going to be an adjustment period. I'm glad they got to shake out some of the kinks versus Central Arkansas, because that's not going to fly against Kansas next week.
No. I mean, and I know we mentioned it whenever we made the video on Caden Green moving to left tackle, but I'd rather the mental mistakes happen against Central Arkansas than against South Carolina or against Alabama or against Kansas. I'd much rather them happen here than in another game. So, yeah, I'm, like I said, a little bit worried about the offensive line, maybe just because of that. Drinkwitz said in the post-game press conference that he liked what he saw out of the offensive line. He made sure to note that specifically. So I don't know if that's coach speak, just trying to
I think it is, because
everybody.
You probably missed it, but he was screaming at Caden Green on the sidelines after that drive.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he's just doing coach speak to like kind of calm everybody down and be like, listen, we're fine at the offensive line, then maybe I'm a little concerned, but he went out of his way to say that. And that's not something that Drink ever really does unless he feels confident in something. So I'll take his word and say that the offensive line was good. Did we really get any penalties in that game?
I know there was a few on the offensive line. So we could, kind of even throw that in there with them and their struggles. We had 8 penalties for 70 yards. Like I said, most of them from the offensive line.
Not good.
It's not good, but it also feels very routine for a Drinkwitz coach team to struggle with penalties at the beginning of the season, especially on the offensive line. Like, I feel like it's been the same song and dance for 3 years now, where the offensive line is just awful with penalties to begin the season.
For sure.
Yeah, because it was just like unnecessary holds or just, I think there was an ineligible receiver downfield on one of the plays as well. I think it was a big play that ended up getting called back. But look, like you said, this is what the Central Arkansas game is for. I remember Gary Pinkel used to say that the biggest improvement with his teams was from week 1 to week 2. So I hope that's the case with Mizzou, because there were still a lot of good things to, reflect on in this game.
For sure.
And really outside of the offensive line, and maybe, again, some things on defense. And really defensively, Missouri was great for the most part. And Central Arkansas didn't accumulate most of their yards on offense until late fourth quarter, when Missouri's third string was in the game. It was essentially a shutout. I know they got that last touchdown, but it was pretty cheap. But you know what really stuck out to me when I was looking at the stats, Brayden, is that Missouri lost the time of possession battle in this game and scored 61 points. The offense scored on every single drive with the starters in the game. Like, the offense was super efficient. Bo Pribula was great. The receivers were amazing, as we had hoped. And that makes me really excited, because I think a lot of Missouri fans have felt, this defense is the known commodity of this team. There's a lot of unknown on offense. We just need to see it. But as long as they're better than they were last year, like, the ceiling's pretty high for this team. Well, Brayden, the returns from week 1 for the offense are really good. Yep, Central Arkansas, totally get it. But I like the throws that I saw from Pribula. I like the decision making. Ahmad Hardy was great. I thought he was kind of slow to start the first half, and I tweeted that out. I was like,
I think you can attribute a little bit of that to the offensive line from what I saw.
Yeah, but then in the second half, he was great, and he had the two really big runs and then a touchdown. End of the night, 10 carries for 100 yards. I mean, it's a perfect stat line. And then the touchdown, he averaged 10 yards a carry. Jamal Roberts was solid as always. Marquise Davis, the freshman, got in. The talent on this offense is just immense. And Marquise Johnson, I think Bo Pribula is the type of quarterback to unlock the player that he really is. I never really said it in the offseason. I was kind of afraid to say it. Everyone has said, Kevin Coleman is the wide receiver one, and that's set in stone. But I'm not sure it's not Marquise Johnson, especially when you look at the 5 catches for 134 yards in this game, and then combine that with what he did in the Liberty Bowl. Like, this dude is coming on as one of the best receivers in the SEC.
I'll pump the brakes there a little bit. Again, it's Central Arkansas, but I do like what Marquise Johnson brings to the table. And if Brady Cook was able to hit him on deep balls last year, he probably would have had close to 400 or 500 yards. Now that, and that's with Theo Weiss and Luther Burden taking most of the snaps in front of him. Now he has the ability to be that wide receiver number 2, compete with Kevin Coleman for that wide receiver 1 role position, kind of. But, if he's consistently putting up 130 yards, getting 1 or 2 deep balls a game, then yeah, this guy's going to be a massive playmaker for Missouri. And Kevin Coleman got 6 receptions for 48 yards. That's kind of the production that you want out of your X receiver, who's just kind of going to rack up a bunch of catches. Just be the guy you consistently look to. Yeah, like that's your wide receiver 1 that third down, you're turning to him. It's 3rd and 5. You need 6 yards. You look directly at Kevin Coleman. You stare him down because you know that he's going to get open. And if he can do that for you, like he did on Thursday, Mizzou's going to be in a really good spot. If you want to hit those home run balls, you can go to Marquise Johnson. That's kind of what I haven't really been able to articulate and like really put together what I think about this Mizzou wide receiver room and why I kind of like it a little bit more. With Mizzou's wide receiver room last year, there was too many of the same skill sets, too many of the same guys trying to do the same thing, whereas every single player in the Mizzou wide receiver room this year, it feels like they have an established role.
Yeah.
Like Marquise Johnson's your home run guy. Kevin Coleman's your third down. He's your third down guy. He's your guy that you're going to look to whenever you just need a few yards. Joshua Manning's just your kind of second option of that. And then
he's going to do some of the dirty work, blocking, catching the tough passes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to return. Like, they have a lot more defined roles, and that's what I like in a team a lot more than just really good players. You need to have really good players with a purpose, and that's what I think that this Mizzou wide receiver room is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, we didn't mention Donovan Alugbade. Got a little bit of playing time last night. The freshman, 4 catches for 37 yards. You can just kind of tell with him. I don't know how big his role is going to be as we get into conference play and that sort of thing, but like you can definitely tell he moves a little bit different compared to, most other receivers that come in here. Like, he's going to be a valuable piece moving forward. You have him as depth. But yeah, no, I agree. I think, everyone has a defined role and everyone's really good at their job. And I mean, Joshua Manning, he had like 3 really quick catches. One of them was like a really nice catch that he just stretched all the way out for, but was able to bring it in. And it's nice to have a receiver like that even when the ball is not perfectly on target, like he's the kind of guy that can still haul it in because he's got that big catch radius and he's got a large wingspan. So I'm just very excited about what they have for sure. And I think also another thing, Brayden, is that last year was like Theo Weiss and Luther Burden, and they were the focus. And I mean, obviously they deserve the attention because they were Theo Weiss and Luther Burden, but it definitely felt like Brady Cook locked in on them a lot of the times. And that came at the expense of someone like Marquise Johnson, who I think should have had a bigger role last year. I think this offense has made it to where you can spread the ball around wherever. There's a lot of different weapons. A lot of guys are going to get mixed in.
Yeah, I think that when you ask a wide receiver room and just a skill positions group on its entirety to get good at one specific thing and just be good at that one specific thing, and they're already super talented, you're going to get an offense with a really sharp, defined identity. And I think that that's what Mizzou might be able to stumble into this year. Because like even with the running game, Ahmad Hardy, he's your guy. He's your explosive guy. He's going to break off a bunch of yards. Whereas Jamal Roberts, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It doesn't matter what situation. You need 4 yards. He's going to get you 4 yards.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be your bruiser, your inside zone guy that's going to be able to maneuver through the tackles, maneuver through the guards, get in. He's not really going to get into that second level that much, but he's just going to power through. He's going to get you 3 or 4 yards every single time. And like I said, with Ahmad Hardy, he might get stuffed at the line every now and again, but he's going to be able to break off that 40-yard, 50-yard, 60-yard run. And that's something that's going to be really nice to have in the backfield is you have those 2 guys with those counter sort of playing styles. And who was it? Marquise Davis.
Yep.
That he also got a few snaps. Didn't look terrible. I swore that he had a catch, but I guess not.
He had a touchdown though at the goal line.
Yeah,
that was nice to see the freshman getting his first touchdown.
Yeah.
But
I
think and also he ran behind like the 3rd team offensive line.
Yeah.
So I'll cut him a little bit of slack because he didn't look great. He didn't look bad, but he just didn't look great either. He's definitely going to play. I want to talk about the defense actually because you mentioned Damon Wilson's 2 sacks a while ago and how like you'd like to see a couple other guys get back there, and I would have too. And I was hoping to see Darius Smith maybe wreak some havoc a little bit, but I noticed that the rush plan, even on defense, was like very vanilla. And did they blitz even one time? I don't know if they did. They didn't, it wasn't really any exotic pass rushes, hardly any stunts or anything. It was more like, hey, Damon Wilson, Darius Smith, like go beat the tackle. And Damon Wilson did a couple times. And that's what Damon Wilson's going to do. But I just have a feeling, I have a suspicion that Corey Batoon is going to have a lot more cooked up for Kansas rather than Central Arkansas.
I forget where I heard it, but I'm pretty sure. God, I feel it was somewhere earlier this offseason where somebody was talking about how Corey Batoon loves to do all these weird things on the defensive line, loves to move guys around, do all this stuff. And I feel like they were probably hiding a lot with that. Forget where I heard that, but I definitely do remember seeing something about Corey Batoon getting really creative on the defensive line and not being able to do it as much as he wanted to last year at Mizzou. But if he is able to do that this year with Darius Smith, with Damon Wilson, with Zion Young, again, 3 guys with very unique, specific pass rusher sets, and Chris McClellan, guys that you can turn to do very different things. I really like the versatility of basically the entire Missouri roster. That's the best takeaway that I can get from this entire game is that the versatility that I thought would be there is most definitely there.
Yeah, for sure. And then the linebackers, Josiah Trotter, like I think if you were to hand out a defensive player of the game, well, it'd probably go to Damon Wilson, but Josiah Trotter led the team in tackles in week 1. I mean, he was laying the boom out there. He's everything as advertised. Like he was a freshman All-American last year. You just watch him and you're like, yeah, this guy's going to be really, really freaking good. Like
for sure.
He's like the next Nick Bolton kind of player.
Yeah. I mean, he was everything I could have imagined and more in that game.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have someone from the Trotter family playing for the Missouri Tigers. I just think that's awesome, and he has lived up to the billing after week 1. There's a few more things we have to hit on. So we talked about Sam Horn's injury earlier, but another big injury, probably bigger than Sam Horn's injury in this game, Brayden, was that to the kicker Blake Craig, who got hurt making a tackle or attempting to make a tackle on a kick return. And now it sounds like we haven't actually got official word yet on what the injury is. Blake Craig was supposed to have an MRI, but it sounds like it's going to be a while. That's not ideal, Brayden, because Blake Craig, I mean, he started out a little bit rough last year, but then he really settled in, and now he's a guy that feels like he's automatic from 50 plus. And that he's a weapon for this team. He is, because you felt like once you crossed midfield, like you were kind of in Blake Craig's range. Now the thinking has to change a little bit. I think you're going to have to be more aggressive on fourth down. And we know that there's always one or two games every year that come down to the kicker. And now I'm not sure Missouri has a kicker.
I mean, it depends on how long it takes for Craig to get back, but losing him on a tackle attempt on a kickoff is incredibly infuriating. You're a kicker against Central Arkansas. Why the hell are you diving for a tackle? Like, what are we doing?
It's like most kickers may not even make a single tackle in their entire career. A lot of times because they're getting outran anyway. But it's like the one time your kicker attempts a tackle, and it's the speculation right now is like a torn ACL. It's like what luck, man? What luck?
Mm-hmm. It's just incredibly bad luck, but it's a stupid play that he really just shouldn't have even tried to make, honestly. Like, I don't know why our kicker's trying to make that play when we're already up big in a game against Central Arkansas.
Yeah, no, I don't understand it. It's, like you said, infuriating. That said, was Robert Myers his name? He's the true freshman kicker that came in place of Blake Craig after he got hurt. He was 4 for 4 on PATs, so that's at least encouraging. I don't know what his range is. I have no idea if he's even close to Blake Craig, but I think regardless, the thinking has to change just a little bit, like especially going into this Kansas game. Like if it's 4th and short, if it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and on their side of the field, I think you have to be a little bit more aggressive instead of just relying on your kicker.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire name of the game in college football right now is just screw taking your points, go for it wherever you want on the field. Whereas I think with Drinkwitz, he's aggressive, but he's aggressive in the right situations and where he needs to be aggressive. But not having Blake Craig, I think, is going to have to make him – it's going to force him to be more aggressive. And I think we have the guys to do it. We have the guys to be in those positions to be really good. And I know this is week 1 takeaway for Mizzou. Something that I'd like to take away from right now is that Florida State just got the ball back up 31-17 against Alabama with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So they've all but wrapped that game up, which bodes extremely well for one of Mizzou's upcoming home games on the year in conference play.
Yeah, well, things will obviously develop until that game, but just based on week 1 for both teams, I don't see how Mizzou isn't favored at home in that game.
It'll be a close line, but if this is the way that things are trending, Mizzou will be favored in that game.
Yeah, maybe by like 3.5 or something like that.
Yeah,
if the game was this weekend, that's probably what I think it would be. But no, yeah, I mean the rest of the SEC this weekend looking, a little suspect. Texas lost to Ohio State earlier today. Arch Manning not as advertised so far. Oklahoma is only up 14-0 against Illinois State late in the second quarter.
Auburn looked good.
They looked explosive on offense and gave up a lot of explosive plays on defense.
Yeah.
That was my
Auburn just looks interesting. Like I don't know what to think about Auburn just yet.
Yeah, like personally, I'm a Jackson Arnold believer. I think the Oklahoma coaches ruined him. I think he's a really good player, and he had some good plays definitely last night. I also don't know. I mean, like you said, I don't know totally what to make of them because their defense looked really suspect, and I don't know if that's because Baylor's a good team this year or what's going to happen with that. But no, Mizzou's schedule. I mean, I know people get pissed off because people talk about how Mizzou's schedule really sets up for them this year. But I mean, really, it does. And you get a lot of the teams the teams that you lost to last year, you're getting them at home this year. This is your opportunity. But I don't want to look too far ahead because
of the teams that you barely beat at home, or 3 of the teams that you barely beat at home, you play on the road.
True, for sure. But look, I don't want to look too far ahead because Kansas comes here this weekend. We know it's a rivalry game. Yeah, we know it's a rivalry game. It's still early in the season. A lot can happen. But we'll kind of wrap up after this, Brayden. I think that's pretty much all of our takeaways for week one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much you can learn from Central Arkansas, but I think the guys, a lot of the newcomers that we wanted to see, I think made their first impression, and it was a good first impression.
For sure.
So that's a good thing. Have you seen anything from Kansas so far that you want to highlight or talk about in their first 2 weeks of action? They played Wagner yesterday, and they didn't even cover against Wagner. They had multiple turnovers at the goal line. And, yeah, I don't know. Actually, no, let me pull this up. I'll let you talk while I'm looking for this. Or actually, no, here, I have it right here. I screenshotted this because I thought it was really interesting. It means really nothing for this matchup because you don't know how these teams are approaching the first couple weeks of the season prior to the game. But Bill Connolly, who does the preseason S&P Plus rankings, he had Wagner ranked at 288th in the country. There were 36 D2 teams ranked higher than Wagner. And for reference, Central Arkansas was ranked 181st, with only 2 D2 schools ranked ahead of them in the S&P Plus rankings. That was from a poster on Power Mizzou. But I thought that was really interesting because basically what I'm trying to say is Wagner is awful. Like, awful. And Kansas couldn't even cover against them.
I don't know if it's really not covering. The thing that I would like to take away is just the 2 goal line fades that Jalen Daniels threw that got intercepted and just the sloppiness from them. And that could be just them being careless in a game against a FCS school that they know that they're going to beat. Like I said, could just be them being careless. But that's also not a mentality that you can afford to have whatsoever, even in the back of your head going into the biggest game of the year for both schools. Like, let's not shy away from what it is. This is one of the biggest rivalries in college sports that hasn't been played in years because Kansas didn't want to play us while their football program was at a historically bad level. And the worst program of the entire 2010s decade. But now that they have a decent coach, they want to play us. So it's time to beat the brakes off of them. And I am sure we'll do a preview and get more into the rosters and everything before it. But Mizzou's they were favored by 6.5, but after the Wagner game, it went up to 7.5. And that's a very important point because that's the difference between beating Kansas by a touchdown and beating Kansas by multiple possessions. And a game jumping up from 4.5 to 5.5 or 5.5 to 6.5 doesn't mean too much. But once you get that 6.5 to 7.5 jump, that's where people are starting to realize and think, that's where most people are thinking like, Mizzou's probably winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it. I mean, I've said it, I guess I should say, really throughout the entirety of the offseason because we've been looking at this game very closely because it's the first, test of the season. I mean, when you look at Mizzou's talent and the team on paper, they should beat the brakes off of Kansas, but because it's early in the season and because it's a rivalry game, wacky stuff can happen. Yeah. So I'm not going to disrespect Kansas as an opponent. But definitely there's some observations to be made at this point. We'll have a lot more throughout the week, obviously, as far as a preview goes, diving into Kansas and that sort of thing. But I'm very excited and ready to see the Jayhawks come to town and hopefully take their beating.
I will, like I said, hopefully be there for that game, and I will be screaming my ass off and hopefully cheering a lot. Hopefully, if we lose that game, it's going to be hard to keep me from jumping over the top of the press box.
I'm really hoping that it's kind of like the K-State game a few years ago where Mizzou was coming off of a close game against MTSU, and we're like, this team sucks. And they just completely emptied the bag to beat K-State.
Well, I hope it's not that close.
Well, right. I was going to say K-State, it was a much better team than KU. Yeah. But no, I think I think, and Drinkwitz understands the importance. I think, he's talked about how he's brought in Civil War historians and former players and coaches to like educate the players on this rivalry. So I think he gets it. And I think him and Kirby Moore and Corey Batoon, like they're going to work their ass off this week to make sure that they win this game. And look, the other thing is I think you can kind of afford to empty the bag against Kansas because the week after Kansas, you play
Louisiana.
Yeah. So it's not like you're setting yourself up for the post huge win letdown.
Yeah. I mean, they can definitely empty the bag out, like go play guys a little bit more than they should, and just empty the bag out to make sure that we win this game. And honestly, if we're up big, I want to score more. Like if we're up 45-7, I want to make it 52. If we're up 52-7, I want to make it 59. If you can find a way to subtract that touchdown, you do that.
Just keep running Ahmad Hardy at them over and over again.
Just run them out of town. Yeah. That'd be nice.
No, for sure. But I think that wraps up our week 1 takeaways after the Missouri Tigers dominate Central Arkansas at home. Brayden, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so.
I would ask for your movie recommendations, but there's really, you kind of already did that in the preview, and there's not really.
Caught Stealing, that came out this week, and it's getting really good reviews. I'm probably going to go see it here on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, so there you guys have it. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Labor Day weekend. That's all from us, though. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Some more Mizzou fans can find this. You can follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB. That's all we got for this one. We'll see you all in the next one. And as always, MIZ.
ZOU.